Well, first of all, Norm, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
If you could just tell us a little bit about your family, the makeup and names of your
Sure.
kids. And
My wife, Amory, and I have 4 boys. The oldest 2 are twins, and they're 11. And then we have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. So we have twins and Irish twins.
The number one reason that kids smoke is because their friends are smoking. If it's considered cool among their friends, they're much more likely to go ahead and try
That's
it.
right.
So how are you dealing that today, you and your wife, with your kids?
You know, my older 2 are in middle school,
Right.
and we're just starting to see the
Yeah.
peer pressure.
Yeah.
And to me, we have very routine talks. In fact, we talked yesterday. My kids are anti-smoking, but as I've told them, it's easy for you to take that position when we're sitting in the comfort of our home. You're surrounded by the safety of your family. You can make the right decision. The problem is that's not the way life's going to work. You're going to be out in a situation just like I was, where it's your friends, it may be someone that you really like, maybe a girl that you like, and you're going to be put in a position where you're going to have to stand up and make that decision, and it may not be the popular decision. And that's what we're trying to raise good young Christian boys and to have good roots in to stand up to the peer pressure. And that's the big concern.
What other ways have you found to get through to your kids about not smoking? You mentioned they play sports, and you've been able to use that successfully?
The athletics has also provided a great opportunity because all of my kids also have asthma. So they also have that to deal with. And in fact, it's been cold recently, and so they start to feel it when they go out and run around. And in fact, we had the conversation last week because they're big football fans and they like to play football, that as they were running around, they could feel their chest tightening up a little bit, and it was an opportunity. I knew I was going to be coming here to speak with you, and I said, you know, let's talk about this and what smoking would do to you as an athlete. And they recognized that all it would do would be detrimental, and it wouldn't help, and it would only make it harder for them to operate and play at a high level.
You know, I know that you're a busy father with your career, and your kids are busy with all their activities, sports and everything else. Where do you make time to talk about issues like not smoking?
We do it every night. I have my own personal policy. Sometimes it's later than others, but my kids, I do not go to bed without talking to each one of my kids, whether it be for 10 seconds or 5 minutes. And during the day, I keep in touch with my wife. How does school go? You know, who has an issue? Who's having a problem? So a lot of times it happens at night and then early in the morning. And if it's real bad, they can call me, or I can make time during the workday, although that's usually not as easy. So at night, I don't always get home in time to have dinner with them, but we will have conversations, because I believe that that's one of the most important roles as a father, especially with boys. They need the strong role model of a male, and they don't go to bed without me telling them I love them, and we have a conversation about what happened today, especially with my older boys. They're getting between the puberty and girls and the pressure. How did they handle themselves? How can they improve themselves and keep their values? Yeah,
that's a great time of day to.
It really is.
Kind of
sometimes I have to wake them up. Sometimes they're not as receptive, but other times they're happy because they don't have to go to bed. They say, okay, I'd rather talk to you than go to bed.
Yeah, but you're so right about making time to build a relationship, because so much of parenting comes out of that relationship.
That's right.
And if you don't build it, then your influence is diminished.
That's right. And my father did that, and that was one of the things I think that I respected the most, is he always made time for us, and he always was there, and there was never a time where he didn't come and talk to us, and without that, I probably wouldn't be the person I am, because I needed that role model. I needed someone to be there to tell me that's wrong, or it's kind of the old lion and the young lion. The older lion has to teach the young lion. One of the things that I try to teach my boys is to try to learn from the positive role models, your uncles, your grandfathers, your friends who you respect, because I know you don't think this, but they've been down the road you're about to go down, and there's a lot of wisdom there. And so they can learn, and the question is, will they accept what they're told?
You can learn from positive role models, but you also, with the parents' help, can learn from mistakes that other adults made. One of the things I like to say is you don't have to make all the mistakes yourself.
That's right.
There's no substitute from learning from mistakes, but you
That's
don't
right.
have to make them all. You can look at other people's mistakes and say, I don't think I want any part of that.
In fact, I think in my own personal life, you learn more from that. I've learned more from seeing, okay, I've seen him make that mistake. I won't make that mistake.
You mentioned earlier that you tried a cigarette one time, had a bad experience with it because of your asthma, and never tried it again. What about for parents who don't have asthma and kids don't have asthma? Do you think it's important for them to try to prevent even that first experimental use of cigarettes, or is that one a free pass? And
I think you need to try to stop it every time. The first time, if they do it, you got to continue to stop it, because you know, odds are they're going to be in a situation where they're going to have the opportunity to try it. And so I think a parent, my advice would be, what I try to and what I struggle with is to keep them from making the wrong decision the first time. But they're not perfect.
Right.
They may make the wrong decision the first time. Hopefully, I'll have a relationship with them that they'll come to me. And then that's your opportunity as a parent. They're coming to you to try to stop the second time.
One question that parents often have is, when is the best time to talk to your kids about not smoking? What cues do you look for from your kids that let you know that this might be a time when they're receptive to talking about not smoking?
I try to be very observant of my kids' reactions to when they see things that are different. And it may be someone smoking. Very recently, we were in a store, and a mother with a young baby was smoking a cigarette, and I saw one of my boys give this look of they knew something wasn't right there. And I said, I used that as an opportunity. He said, no, what are you thinking? And he said, you know, it shouldn't be smoking around a young kid. And so I broached the topic of, well, smoking in general.
Good.
Here's the way of preventing smoking around a baby. It's don't smoke at all. And they were real receptive to that. So what I try to use is real life situations, because I think they learn more by talking to them right at real time, right when they're in the midst of the situation, or as contemporaneous to the situation as we can get. Sometimes we'll talk about it just in the sanctity of the home. What do you guys think about this? I recently asked them, because I'm trying to gauge where their level of peer pressure is. Are kids smoking? Are kids talking about alcohol? You know, where do you stand on that? And sometimes they'll tell me more. Sometimes they're not as receptive to that. They want to change the subject. So my goal is to try and catch them in real-time situations. So as a result, in order to do that, we need to go out, and I try to spend individual time with each one, take them out, even if it's just to the mall, something they want to do, and then talk about situations if they see something.
We're going to need to wrap up, but you've had so many great ideas for parents that I really hope they'll apply some of them in their own families. I just want to thank you for coming in, Norman, for really taking your parenting as seriously as you do, because it's pretty clear that you've given a lot of thought. And
well, thank you, and you know, it's like anything, you learn as you go, and I appreciate it. And this has been a very positive experience for me and my family. So I thank you for doing this.